Spurgeon said this, "He who does not long to know more of Christ knows nothing of him yet." I heard Swindoll this week. He did a little thing where he said, "I want you to play a game with me." He said, "Let's pretend." This would be so cool. He said, "Let's pretend that your banker called you and he had some good news for a change," he said. And he tells you that some anonymous person who loves you very much has said every morning he is going to deposit into your account 86,400 pennies. That's $864. And he said you can spend it any way that you want. But at the end of the day, the balance would be erased. So you've got to spend these pennies every day. And with a big smile, you begin deciphering, as Jethro Bodine would say. You grab a pencil and start figuring. 864 times 7 equals $6,048. Times 52 equals $314,496 a year. How awesome would that be? I mean, let's just be honest. Would that be amazing? I think I could do it, don't you? Can I spend $864 a day? Oh, yeah. I'll figure it out, right? And then he says, but remember, whatever you don't spend, you can't have. And then he says, now, so much for let's pretend. He says, let's get serious. Every morning, someone who loves you very much deposits in your bank of time 86,400 seconds, which represents 1,440 minutes, which of course equals 24 hours each day. But you must remember the same thing applies, because God gives you this amount of time and you must use it today. Nothing is ever carried over. If you don't use 2 hours today, there will not be 26 hours tomorrow, right? Tomorrow we get 24 again. Every day we get that. Somebody said life is like a coin. You can spend it any way you want, but you can only spend it once. Henry David Thoreau, the great author, said, as if you could kill time without injuring eternity. He's saying how you spend your time will affect forever. How will you spend your time? Time spent with Jesus Christ is the way to spend it, and we waste so much time. Have you ever saw that? God, I'm going to spend some time with you. I'm going to get in your word. I'm going to get around people that agree with what I believe. I'm going to worship you. What happens, guys? You could testify, right? That he changes your mind, that he changes your heart. You begin to see things different, don't you? Yes, Todd, you do. And so you see things you didn't see before. And God begins to work in your life in ways that you don't even understand. David Platt tells a story about when he was in seminary. He went to a seminary down in New Orleans. If you go down to New Orleans, you go to the French Quarter. You know what you find in the French Quarter? I don't know, I've never been there, but I know bad stuff. A lot of bars, a lot of strip joints, a lot of bad stuff happening there. There's also a lot of voodoo that goes on down there. There's also a lot of things like fortune tellers. And David Platt's down there going, I got a great idea. Let's set up a fortune-telling booth. We're not going to tell anybody what we're really about, but we're going to put a booth right next to the voodoo queen of Bourbon Street. Sign says, we will tell your fortune, your future for free. So everybody's coming, lining up. And after a few questions, they find out that these people are lost. And what do they say? Your future is in grave danger, but we can help you out. And they begin to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with them until they find out that they've been duped. And most of them would walk away, but some stuck around. How brilliant is that? Somebody go to the mall with that. You know, set up a booth and see what happens. But his mind was on things that God could do. And God can do incredible things, even when you think that he can't. How many of you have ever read the book, The Pilgrim's Progress? Do you know that that book is second only to the Bible in publishing? It's true. Pretty incredible. I'm sorry, it's just a good stat. But you know, the author of that book, his name is John Bunyan. John Bunyan was from England. He was imprisoned for his faith. He was in prison for years for his faith. He had to leave behind his kids and his wife in prison, but he wouldn't deny Jesus. And while he was in his prison cell, this is incredible. There was a window up above, and he could barely see out of it. And he thought, well, maybe I could see out. And he looks, and there's just this wall. But do you know what John Bunyan did for 7 years every day from his prison cell? He preached the gospel out his window to nobody, or at least he thought. But do you know what happened behind that wall? Some people started to gather by the tens, by the hundreds, by the thousands. And unbeknownst to John Bunyan, he was preaching the gospel to thousands of people. You don't know what your words are going to do. You don't know what your actions are going to do, but I believe they will do something. So let me ask you this. How amazed are people at your boldness? Seriously. I mean, let's be honest. Guy that you work with, does he even know? Does he even know? The student that has a locker next to you, did they even know that you own Jesus Christ? You know, Chloe's got the size of a heart the size of Texas. That's incredible. You remember the story about the little girl who said, Mommy, what does it mean to ask Jesus into my heart? And she told him. And her response was, if I ask Jesus into my heart, won't he stick out? You know, you just think about that. Yes, he will. He'll stick out. If he's in your heart, he'll stick out. He should.